We are here in the Arvada campus, and I actually grew up in this building, going to Awanas as a little kid, and then youth group down here in the basement, and all the youth trips, and even being a youth leader when I was in college. A little after that, I got married and had Ben. I'm sure some of you know Ben. From there, things kind of took a turn. I ended up getting divorced, and I know that most people who are divorced, you know that that's not ever something that you planned. And some things just happen, and I grew up here. I know reconciliation is always God's plan, but sometimes you can't reconcile. Like, domestic violence is not something that you can just let continue to escalate. Just after my divorce, I did try to visit a few churches in the area. Nothing really fit. There was kind of a common theme of divorce is bad, divorce is just a bunch of excuses, but until you've walked in those shoes and walked that path, I feel like that's kind of easy to say. The stigma of being a single mom sort of took me away from the church, and I'm not at all saying that all churches are like that, all churches think that, all churches treat single moms the same. I'm not at all saying that. And I did consider coming back here, but I think a lot of what kept me from coming back here was the fact that I did grow up here and my family still goes here, and I didn't want their association with me to reflect badly on them or my church family either. So I kept my distance and tried to respect that this was their church home and that maybe church just wasn't for me anymore. It was just not a place that was for me. And then when Ben was in 5th grade, he was diagnosed with RRP. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. It's actually very rare, but it causes tumors to continuously grow on his vocal cords. So that was a rough patch. I definitely sort of had my come to Jesus meeting, and I needed God. And I knew Ben needed God. And so I encouraged him to please find a youth group and get involved in church. And I encouraged him to come here because I know the people here, and I knew that he would find what he needed here. And he did. Even if I felt like I couldn't be here, I knew he needed to be here. So I ended up becoming that mom who pulls up into the driveway and drops their kid off to send him in for Sunday service all alone. My family was here to be his designated grown-ups and be here with him, but I know he wanted me to be here, and I wanted to be here. But I felt like I couldn't. I was still keeping my distance. I ended up spending a decade trying my plan B, and it was a long, lonely 10 years. And although I felt like because I couldn't stick to the plan, maybe there just wasn't a plan for me now. But he does tell us, "For I know the plans I have for you." And he does. He has a plan for all of us. No matter what we're doing, whether we feel like we can be here or not, whether we come or not, He has a plan for us. And we just have to trust. Which is easier said than done, I know. Ben is, just as an update, doing much better. He is on an experimental chemo treatment and he has not had any regrowth in 2 years now. It's amazing and such a blessing. I did eventually, once we heard that we were gonna do a merge with Harbor, I thought, well, maybe I can kind of sneak in and blend in with the crowd if it's a bigger crowd now. But I got back and I realized I didn't need to. Although I was standing just over the horizon, wanting to come home and thinking, I can't, what must they think of me now? Once I got back, all of you were here waiting with open arms. And I cannot tell you how much that means to me. It's been amazing. I missed you all so much, and I'm so glad to be back. And I love you guys. I'm so, so thankful that God is faithful and that all of you guys were faithful and welcoming and that you guys still love me.